The first time I used castor oil, I applied it to my skin. My hands had been dry and cracked from the cold weather, and I thought the oil would be the perfect solution. It was thick and sticky, but I figured that just meant it was extra moisturizing. I rubbed it into my hands and arms before bed, expecting to wake up with smooth, soft skin. But when I woke up, my skin felt tight and itchy. Red patches had started to form on my arms, and the skin was even drier than before. It was as if the oil had sucked all the moisture out of my skin instead of replenishing it. By the end of the day, I was dealing with a full-blown rash that was spreading across my body. My skin was inflamed and unbearably itchy, and no amount of washing or moisturizing seemed to help. The relief I had hoped for turned into agony as I dealt with the rash for over a week, desperately applying creams to calm the irritation. Undeterred, I decided to try castor oil for another popular use: relieving constipation. I had read about its potent laxative effects and thought it might help with the occasional digestive issues I experienced. I measured out a small dose and swallowed it down, grimacing at the oily texture. The label warned that it could work quickly, so I prepared myself for a few hours of discomfort. What I wasn't prepared for was the intense cramping that hit me just an hour later. My stomach twisted in knots, and I found myself rushing to the bathroom repeatedly, unable to get any relief. The cramps were so severe that I could barely stand upright, and they persisted long after I thought they would. The next day, I was left feeling drained and weak, my stomach still tender from the ordeal. What was supposed to be a gentle solution had turned into a nightmare, leaving me swearing off castor oil for digestive issues forever. Still, I wasn't ready to give up on castor oil entirely. I had heard about its benefits for eyelashes and eyebrows, and with my thinning brows and short lashes, I was eager to give it a shot. I had read countless stories of women who had seen their lashes grow longer and thicker after applying castor oil to their eyelids. It seemed harmless enough, so I applied a small amount to my lash line before bed, careful to avoid getting it in my eyes. The next morning, I woke up with my eyelids feeling heavy and sore. When I looked in the mirror, I was shocked to see that my eyes were swollen and red, with a slight discharge at the corners. My eyelids were puffy, and the skin around them was irritated. The discomfort only grew worse as the day went on, and I realized that I had developed an infection. My eyes were constantly watering, and the redness spread, making it painful to blink. I immediately stopped using the oil and sought medical help, but the infection took days to clear up, leaving me with sensitive, red eyes that took weeks to fully heal. The idea that I could have damaged my vision over a beauty treatment was terrifying. As if that weren't enough, I still hadn't learned my lesson. I had heard so much about its benefits for hair growth, and with my thinning hair, I was desperate to give it a try. I thought, maybe it's just my skin and eyes that are sensitive. My scalp should be fine, right? I couldn't have been more wrong. I applied the oil to my scalp, massaging it in gently before covering my hair with a shower cap and going to bed. By now, I was familiar with the oil's thick consistency and strange smell, so I didn't think much of it. I imagined waking up to stronger, shinier hair, something I had longed for. But that night, I couldn't sleep. My scalp began to tingle, and the sensation quickly turned into a burning that I couldn't ignore. I rushed to the bathroom to wash the oil out, but the damage had already been done. My scalp was red and irritated, and to my horror, my hair started coming out in clumps. It was like watching my worst nightmare unfold in real time. My hands were trembling as I tried to rinse the oil out, but the damage was irreversible. My once thin hair was now patchy, brittle, and falling out at an alarming rate. The emotional toll was devastating. Not only had I failed to solve my hair problems, but I had made them worse, much worse. The hair I was trying so hard to save was now in worse condition than ever before, and my self-esteem took a massive hit. I couldn't believe how badly things had gone wrong. Looking back, I can't help but wonder how I could have been so naive. I thought I was making a healthy, natural choice, but instead, I encountered one disaster after another. The idea that one product could fix so many issues was tempting, but it turned out to be too good to be true. After everything I went through, I started doing more research and came across some important information that I wish I had known before. According to experts from New York Presbyterian, the use of castor oil for eye health is particularly risky. They explain that there is little scientific evidence supporting the use of castor oil to improve eyesight, and its use can lead to serious complications like infections or even blindness. The oil is non-sterile and not formulated for use in the eyes, making it dangerous to apply it directly to the eyelids or lashes, which I unfortunately learned the hard way. Instead, They recommend using proper eye moisturizers or consulting with an ophthalmologist for safe treatment options. Regarding its use for constipation, while castor oil is FDA approved as a laxative, the experts warn about its harsh effects on the gut. Overuse can lead to cramping, diarrhea, and dehydration. They advise caution and suggest that dietary and lifestyle changes are safer long-term solutions for digestive health. As for hair growth, the moisturizing properties of castor oil might give the appearance of thicker hair, but there is no solid evidence that it actually promotes growth. I wish I had known that before applying it to my scalp, which only led to irritation and hair loss instead of the fuller hair I had hoped for. If there's one thing I hope people take away from my story, it's this: be cautious, especially when trying something new. Natural doesn't always mean safe, and what works for others might not work for you. Test everything. Read up on potential side effects, and listen to your body's reactions. I learned these lessons the hard way, and I hope sharing my experience will save others from making the same mistakes. For anyone interested in learning more about the potential risks of castor oil, I found this article helpful: Castor Oil, Myths and Facts.